Hi, thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this video. This is something that I want to share that's been really weighing on me for a while, and it affects people over 69% of Americans have had to deal with this, and it's the loss of a child. And this is a sensitive subject for all of you that are watching this. We've all had that experience. And I'm starting a podcast that really deals with the time of a loss of a child through how do you honor their memory? How do you keep their memory alive? How do you introduce them to grandkids? And again, just honor their memory while you still have a hole in your heart that you've lost them. And I've really felt there's a lot of people that have reached out to us that are just experiencing it and have asked for kind of guidance and advice. So that's the premise of this podcast. It's really from the time of loss of a son or daughter until um, through current and just how your family has dealt with it. The idea is to give hope to others of maybe when I look back on our experience, there were things and people that were just incredible support for us through the experience. We had obviously family, our close friends, life group, our church, uh, work, just a number of people that went on this journey with us. And in our case, Richie contracted a very rare form of cancer that was a end of life cancer. There was no cure for it. Went through multiple um, went through multiple clinical trials through the National Institute of Health, and just his experience of watching his body break down and not anything you could do about it. And that part, there was a lot of people that really supported us, even though at the time you appreciated it. But in retrospect, you look back and go, what an amazing experience or gift to us that they gave us by their time and commitment. So, some of this podcast is going to deal with that, but what I'm asking you to consider is to talk about your experience. So, for us, again, we had a medical condition that was a long goodbye for us, but again, we watched the downside was you watched his body break down. Some of you I know have had it's been instantaneous. You never got to say goodbye, and that loss was sudden, instant. Nothing that you could do to prevent it, and your experience might be different than ours. And so the idea of the podcast is to again give people hope and guidance through what you experience over multiple years after you've lost a child. We're about 5 years out, and every day you learn a little bit more about it. You never ever stop missing them, but we found ways to honor Richie at parties. His pictures front and center with family events. We talk about him again with grandchildren, with among ourselves, just always remembering the positive things that he brought. And one of the things that really stuck to me is a few days before he passed away, he looked at me and he was on hospice. He said, "Dad, do you think my life really mattered?" And you just want to say, "Yes, son." You can't imagine the amount of people you've influenced with how you've handled this adversity and how much you've influenced them with your strength. And this is somewhat a way to honor back to him and also to help others going through these same experiences, maybe stories that you could share yourself, possibly spouse, your kids may want to participate. And I also fully understand if it's a sensitive subject and it's something you would choose not to do is perfectly fine. Um, it's a big ask to talk about a pain like this in your life, and um, again, for us, as we've gone through it and you get farther out, you realize how many people could benefit from the story we had going through it, and how many people kind of spoke into our lives about, you know, I know what you're going through, and they really did. And so again, that's the premise of the podcast. These would be roughly 10 to 15 minute segments. Some of you may want more time than that, and we can split them up into multiples. We can certainly do interviews over video, so it's not something you have to come here to do it. And we have a set of questionnaires, or I've developed kind of a script for here's questions that we've been asked. You may even have some that you add to it. And so this is kind of going to be an ongoing process to how we can learn better, again, to share with others how, our experiences with going through the loss of a child, and that there is hope that you can really live a full, productive, joy filled life and still honor their memory. So, a couple other things, just in addition, that you'll see on this podcast is we're also going to interview some people that were super beneficial in our lives, that came and supported us. People that brought us dinners on a weekly basis. Um, People that just would call and check in on you. A number of things that they did that just you look back and you could never repay that. They just have a heart for sharing and helping with others. So we're going to interview some of those people as well. And how do you associate yourself with people like that? And how could you be a person that really reaches out and supports others? So if you have people in your life that have been extremely helpful in working through this with you, or had a big influence, we'd certainly love to do an interview with them as well. The goal for us is to have about 20 podcasts already pre recorded when we release this. The goal is to release it by June 1st. That would be the 5-year anniversary of my son Richie's passing. And I want to get some of these interviews done and kind of booked. So, again, you're part of a crowd that we wish no one, and a group that we wish no one would ever have to be involved in. But we've all gone through it. We all have had to learn to deal with it and go on with our life with the loss of a beloved child. So, what I'm asking you is if you would like to participate and share your story. We would certainly appreciate letting us know. We also are not looking for, um, some of the losses are very sensitive, and so you don't have to talk at all about how you lost a child. Really, more about, was it instantaneous versus maybe a medical condition that you had time like ours. Really, that's all that matters. Is, was it instant, or was it did you have time? And from there, the perspective of, since the child passed, how has your life gone on, and how have you learned to honor that child during that time period? So really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video. And I've got my contact information in there. Just please let me know if you would be interested in sharing your story.